Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's time for Let's Talk Real Estate, your weekly BS with Barry Saywitz about the current commercial real estate market here in Southern California, as we take a no BS look at both sides of the issues driving the market today, to find the best solutions going forward with the man who always finds his way forward, Barry Saywitz. Hey, Barry.
Hey, Paul. Thanks for having us back again for another week of Let's Talk Real Estate. I hope everyone has digested their turkey dinners from Thanksgiving and ready to talk some more real estate. I'm Barry Saywitz, president of the Saywitz Company and Saywitz Properties. And in my 30 plus years in commercial real estate, I've been on both sides of the deal as a broker and a principal, a buyer and a seller, a landlord and a tenant. And what I've learned is to take a look at both sides of the transaction to come up with the best solutions and to try and navigate the market's ebbs and flows. And today is no different. We have someone here who's going to talk about a segment of the market that I'm excited about. Our guest is Bob Olson, founder, CEO of the R.D. Olson Company, both R.D. Olson Construction and Development. Bob, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Barry. Thanks for bringing me on the show.
Yeah, so let's talk real estate. Before we get going real quick, I want to do today's shout out to all of my Jewish friends who are celebrating Hanukkah. Happy Hanukkah to everyone out there. And for anyone who is thinking about getting me a present earlier in the year or for Hanukkah and hasn't done it yet, now would be a good time to do that. So, Bob, you've been in Orange County for a long time. You've been around and in commercial real estate and construction for a long time as well, and have had a storied success with your company. Congratulations on all of that. And the reason I wanted to have you on the show is to talk about the hotel and hospitality segment of the marketplace. It often doesn't get enough conversation. People like to talk about houses and apartments and big buildings. But the hospitality sector is really an important sector for not only Orange County, but all of Southern California. In terms of your company and the history that you've had, you started out on the construction side and then have forayed into the development side as well. Give our viewers and our listeners a little bit of a history in terms of your company and where you've come from and where you are today.
So sure, thank you. We actually started building restaurants some 30 plus years ago. And then from there started in building hotels throughout the Western U.S. As of today, I think we've built probably over 100 hotels for brands such as Marriott, Hilton, Kimpton Hotels, Hyatt. Today we are under construction with Montage and Pindri out in the desert, a number of hotels here in the West Coast, Hawaii as well, built out there. We've also built other building types, but I think probably 70% of our work has been hotels. Then about 20 years ago, I started a development company. And I thought we had some good ideas of things that we could bring to the table, given our experience. And so we have developed some 25 hotels across the Western U.S. Today we own 9. We recently sold 3 about 6 months ago, 2 in Hawaii and 1 in Pasadena. But love talking about hotels, where we're at, where we're going, and sort of where the opportunities are.
Yeah, great. So, and you obviously took the opportunity instead of building only for other people and just being the guy who builds it and then finishes it and hands over the keys to really taking the reins and putting the transaction together. And from what I understand, it's really start to finish, right? From the ground up and the financing and the equity and overseeing the project and then continuing to stay in the ones that you're still in and be a partner in it.
So yeah, just to be clear, so Bill Wilhelm is the guy, he runs our construction company. I'm not involved in the day-to-day. My personal focus really is on the development side. And so, yeah, we look for opportunities where as we say, there's a hole in the donut, opportunity for hospitality that's either lacking or is needed. And so we'll tie up the property, bring in our architects and planners, bring our concept together, and we will put our plan together, execute it, bring in our private investors, open the hotel, and manage it. We actually hire managers. We don't manage ourselves. We try to find the best managers for the property. So,
And the real reason I wanted to have you on the show is because I wanted the big question I think a lot of our listeners are hoping to get an answer to is where can I get a deal for a hotel over the holidays? Because that seems to be the biggest question. I have been trying to find hotels and places to go, just like I think a lot of other people out there, trying to stay local or trying to not go out of the country and deal with the challenges that presents. And I got to tell you, it's tough out there. I mean, the prices of hotels are way up, and a lot of people seem to be traveling. I mean, in terms of what you're seeing with your hotels and what you're hearing in the marketplace, if we rewind back, to the shutdown last year, certainly was a bloodbath and terrible and no activity on the hospitality side to today. And where do you see things today going forward?
Well, first of all, I'm sorry you can't find a hotel room for this holiday season coming up, but that's actually good news for me.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But yeah, so COVID was really tough. We had 12 hotels at the time, and we kept everything open for a lot of reasons. One, there was demand. There was some demand, and we just didn't want to lose our team, our associates in the hotels. We knew it would come back. We just didn't know when. And so we had, sort of the light switch goes on, then it goes off, goes on and on. I mean, you had to move, you had to manipulate. So some of our hotels here in Orange County, for instance, Lido House Hotel, which has a rooftop bar, it turns out that was actually a godsend given what was happening with the requirements of outdoor dining and whatnot. So we actually had a hotel that became a sort of a retreat for people to get away from COVID. And so Lido House, frankly, did relatively well compared to the competitive set. It was because the product, what we had, what we provided. And so...
Seems like the same would be true for the Pasea in Huntington Beach as well, right?
Exactly, yeah. So Pasea, 250 rooms, which I call a lifestyle hotel. Again, a rooftop lounge, outdoor dining space, outdoor pool where food and beverage is able to be served and still give guests a great experience at the oceanfront, Huntington Beach, Lido House and the beach community, and then in Irvine Spectrum. That's a pretty interesting turn of events because that's really considered a business market. There's really you would not consider that to be leisure. But again, with the rooftop lounge on the 16th floor, outdoor space, great pool space, is business hotel, business-oriented hotel with a true leisure feel. So the idea was when we built this before COVID, we wanted our guests to feel on a business trip like they are really on vacation when they come to their hotel. And so all the spaces are connected from food and beverage to the pool to the meeting space. To the rooftop. And so what happened through COVID is people love that. And you really had the ventilation and the sort of the social distancing, not by design, but by really default of what we were creating and sort of thinking ahead, very much like what we did at Pasea. So your ballrooms connect to the outside, take down the walls, and really connect your outdoor space to the indoor space. It worked tremendously. So back to the Irvine Spectrum, business-oriented hotels typically run 50 to 60% occupancy on the weekends. We're selling out. So, what does that say? We're very fortunate. We're grateful, frankly, but
and do you take then the concepts that seem to work well during COVID and then apply them to new projects that you're doing going forward or to retrofits of other hotels because they seem to be working, right? And I don't think that's going to change going forward.
That's right. And what we've discovered is that there's been a big change in how groups use hotels, how business travelers use hotels, what they want, what the demand is. And so shifting to that model, everything we own, we've built from the ground up. We've looked at a few opportunities to take some hotels that were built in the 80s, and that was a different era. And the interior space doesn't speak to the exterior space. Here in Southern California, in our climate, you've got to be able to connect the two. And if you don't, you've got a dinosaur and you've got to figure it out. So we've looked at a few. We've not been able to be successful in it, but somewhere we'll find something. Meanwhile, we continue to build ground up what we know works. We refine every product that we do, every hotel. We are fortunate enough to be 1/3 owner of the Dana Point Harbor, and we are in final entitlements for 2 hotels there. One Dana House, think Lido House, but on the waterfront, the Dana Point Harbor. I'm partners with Joe Uberoth and Scott Burnham at Dana Point Harbor. Total reformation of the harbor, total rebuild the docks, the retail, and 2 new hotels. Pretty exciting to be a partner in that with great guys.
And where do you see the opportunity for growth? I mean, certainly a repositioning of the harbor, big, massive project. But is there still a need for more hotels in Orange County? Or is it really the niche stuff that's along the water, has some specialty use, or are we overbuilt?
So we in the hotel industry, we're really service providers, right? We provide service for leisure, for every type of demand generator there is out there. And so as that grows, so does the need for hotels. But then you've got the obsolescence of some of the hotels. When you say you can't find a hotel room, what you're telling me really is that you can't find a hotel room that you want to stay in. Okay, because I can get you a room. Okay,
we can talk afterward then.
But you may not. You may not want to stay there.
Right, it's out back in the parking lot.
Yeah, or maybe in a hotel that you're.
That you don't like. So no, there's no question, and so that applies to other segments of the market as well, as whether it's office space or apartments. It's the same kind of thing. And so if you've got the new or the hip or the desirable product, then I think you certainly have a much better shot of being successful. One of the things that I wanted to ask you as well, in terms of the pricing, while I know you're not the person who decides how much a hotel room goes for, but it seems to me like before COVID, things were chugging along, everything's fine, people are doing their business, and then you could find a hotel room for $20, $30, $50 a night just because people were trying to give it away as best they could. And now it seems to me like the pricing is either back at or above pre-COVID levels, inflation or not. It's just, it seems like it's a supply-demand kind of a thing.
Yeah, so we're the industry average across the country, we're still down about 15% from 2019, but that's not a market by market or a product by product, right? So you got to dig into the details of that. So I'll give you an example. Our hotel, Lido House, we are ahead of 2019 numbers. In Irvine Spectrum, we are close or right at 2019 numbers, and I expect that we'll close 2019 ahead of. We'll close this year ahead of 2019. And so, but I can point to a number of hotels are probably going to be 25%, but industry average, right? So you got to get into the details. What's the product? What's the market? And so we're fortunate that everything we build is new. So everything's relatively new. I have one hotel that opened 20 years ago. We just had our 20th anniversary on Main Street, Jamboree, in Irvine. And so I've held on to that. It's been a great hotel. Through the ups and downs, the financial crisis, I opened in 9/11.
Right.
Okay, imagine that opening.
And then through the recession and now COVID. Right?
Yeah. So we've seen a lot. We've learned a lot. And so being developers, we continually learn and implement into what we're doing. So I'll give you another example. We purchased land in Sedona, Arizona, on Oak Creek, 14 acres there. And we're going to do a 95 room, a boutique, sort of really outdoors kind of spiritual hotel. I don't want to overemphasize spiritual, but beautiful rocks, formations around it, and just very inspirational place with a spa and so outdoor meeting space, incredibly crucial there. Great climate for the most part. It does get cold. I think it's like probably.
But it's a great getaway.
Yeah, it's a great getaway, especially given Phoenix and Scottsdale are the growth they are. We're sort of a drive-to market for there.
Right.
Plus, got great airlift in there. But so well, the things that we're learning, we're implementing into these hotels. It's kind of fun to, every time do and try things new.
And the stuff in Orange County, do you find that Orange County is a destination place? And is it people coming from other states and outside of the area? Or is it a combination of that and people from LA who want to go to Orange County and just get away for the weekend?
So as a hotel owner, you really want your demand to come from everywhere, a little bit from everywhere. So you're not over dependent on anything. But I can tell you, just for, at both Lido House, Paseo, I can't tell you how many people I've met from Las Vegas and Arizona, especially in the summer.
Summer months, of course, you got to get out of Dodge for sure.
But also coming through COVID, people were coming mostly from LA and San Diego, where COVID lockdowns were just so prohibitive. People needed to get away. And so we were sort of the go-to place.
And so how has the vacation rental market impacted the hotel industry? Because no question, a lot of people are traveling on VRBO and Airbnb, and people that have large families, rather than having to get 3 or 4 hotel rooms, makes sense to get a bigger place. Has that made an impact on the demand for hotel? Has it caused you to rethink how you market? And how do you deal with that?
So we look at Airbnb, in particular VRBO, as another competitor, right? So, and what is it that they have? What do we have? What's the differentiator for us? So they have pricing. Their pricing is going to be less. It'll feel like there's better value, not necessarily. So we tried a concept at Lido House that's pretty innovative. We created 5 cottages in the back on 32nd Street. And they're 2 stories with rooftops on them, fully livable, 2 bedroom, 2 bath, kitchen, living room, laundry, front porch, even great rooftop with barbecue, and just like your beach house, right? 1,500 square feet or so. Hired 5 different design firms, local Newport Beach firms, and created these concepts. And we named each cottage after an island in Newport Beach. And those have been a hit. So Airbnb would probably charge, I'm going to guess $500 a night for what we have. We're you can go on the website and see for yourself, but it's substantially more than that. But you know what? I think our guests are way happier. Even though they're paying more, they're getting way more. We'll bring a chef in, or we'll do your grocery shopping. You want a surfboard? We got a surfboard out front. We got beach cruisers. We got everything you need, and you're connected to the hotel. You got a restaurant there. You got a great vibe. There's a pool. You can't get a rooftop lounge. You can't create that with Airbnb. Now, I'm not going to underestimate them as a competitor, but I think they've really made us focus and sharpen our skills on how do we position ourselves to be in a competitive for us to be in the competitive advantage to them without having to price.
Yeah, and I think also, my own personal experience has been that when you go to rent on VRBO or other types of sites, they, depending upon where you go and what it is, they have a resort fee or a cleaning fee that is ridiculous, or a host fee. And so even though it might rent for $500 a night, if you were staying there for 4 or 5 nights and you apply all of these fees over it, it winds up being $800 or $900 a night. And so you really, it's not the same. It's not apples to apples.
Yeah. Well, we do charge a resort fee, but we do bring a lot to the table for it. Everything from even flip-flops in your room, bike, Wi-Fi. We have an electric golf cart. We'll take people to the beach or wherever, whatever hotel it is. The ones that charge, the hotels that we do that have a resort fee, we absolutely provide the services for that fee.
But it doesn't appear that it's really taken a giant chunk out of the demand for people to stay and travel.
No, not at all. So, like I said, we've got the 2 hotels that are selling out. They have become sort of the go-away place to get away from the crazy lockdowns. And our demand has actually increased.
And so where do you see the hotel industry here in Southern California moving forward? Will there be more hotels that will get built, or will it really be selective infill type of redevelopment opportunities?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. And where are we going? Is it seems like there's enough hotels now, but as we grow, there's the demand grows. And I think Orange County is becoming more and more discovered by travelers. Look at our beaches, pristine beaches, parks, and Disneyland, and the Great Park in Irvine, and so many great places for travelers to come, leisure guests. And so I think that continues to grow as we continue to grow as a county, relative to our population growth and business growth. Yeah, there's increased demand for sure. But what does that demand want? I think I'm a believer that there will be a lot of hotels that will be remade into one other product or another, and potentially even redoing a hotel into sort of today's standards as best you can fix. Not everything's fixable.
Sure.
And just like office and apartments, and at some point they get raised and something else is built.
And do you find that on the new development stuff, that when you're going to the cities and you're dealing with them from a permitting and a planning standpoint, that they're helpful, hurtful, obstructive, or is it something that if they recognize that they really want this in the community, then they're really working together with you to try and get a common goal at the end of the day?
So, every city's different, right? And so got to be a little careful. But
you don't need to use examples. That's okay.
Well, you know what? Actually, I will use an example. Let's talk California Coastal Commission.
Yeah.
We've actually had pretty good success with Coastal Commission. We understand what they want. I've got a call with staff today on our Dana Point Harbor project. But they're trying to create, to keep affordable lodging at the coast, which is that's a noble idea. Executing that is difficult, and so we're trying to work with them to create some affordable lodging. At the same time, create market rate lodging side by side. And so we've been through Coastal Commission with Paseo, with Lido House, and we're approved first time out. So I fully expect that we'll get there on this. So anyway, not bad.
And the city itself must look at it as a revenue generator. I mean, it does generate a significant amount of tax, and it creates jobs, right?
Yeah, that's right. Well, and Dana Point is really, the city of Dana Point has been fantastic to work with. A number of, really hotels are sort of a favored product, if you will, because in the state of California, 10% of the revenues go to the city.
Yeah.
Right? As opposed to sales tax goes to Sacramento first, and they get 1%, I believe, back of the sales tax, where they get 100% of what we have. And so then we also are bringing in visitors into the city who spend money, right, into the restaurants, into the shops.
No question.
So.
And all the service industries that benefit from all the things that you're doing, right? The guy who brings
right.
the surfboard and goes for groceries and those types of things.
Yeah, that's right.
So is there, I want to talk supply chain for a second, only because I flew over the coast last week and saw just the big lineup of ships out in the ocean all the way up and down the coast. Does that create an impact in today's world, and how do you see that going into 2022 for construction and just getting materials in general?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw some of our furniture and light fixtures out there. Okay, some framing.
Some of my Hanukkah presents probably sitting out there.
Yeah, this supply chain issue is really been a struggle. Fortunately, from the construction side, our guys have actually done a pretty good job, and I think it's really from relationships that they've had over the years, and sort of who gets the first handout, if you will, materials and supplies that you need to get things built. From the other side, from the rest of some of our small supplies in the hotel side, yeah, it's been a challenge, but we've been able to find other product to fill in. Labor has been an issue, but I think we are, at one point, I think we were still about 150 people short in our hotels, and I think we're down to maybe 10 or 15.
So that's good news, because everybody that I talk to is having a labor issue, not only of hiring quality people, but stable people that aren't jumping around, and then just trying to keep up with whatever demand they have on their own side of it.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate. We have great people and great associates running and working in our hotels, love what they do, and so it's been fun actually because they want to win too. Our team does, our people.
And I mean, you've got your finger on the pulse of a bunch of different aspects of the economy in Orange County in particular. What's your prognosis for 2022 going forward? Does the stock market, does the governmental impact of what they're doing or not doing have an overall impact on the economy here in Orange County, and where do you see it going?
Well, the number one concern, we're all reading it, I am like you are, inflation. And so where does that go? So we're in the fortunate position to be able to reprice every day. Now, I'm not saying that's good for the economy because inflation really is a tax on the associates that work in the hotels. So it drives their need for higher wages. It just goes up and up, and one feeds off the other. And so, my hope is, and I'm a little optimistic that inflation will settle down. We need fewer government dollars in our economy. It's just my personal belief, but it is what it is. We're hoping for the best, and sort of planning a little bit. Now, I don't want to say for the worst, but sort of the medium, if you will. But we'll get through it. I mean, I'm confident in our country and our nation, and actually even the state of California. I know there's a lot of people that are pretty frustrated with where our politics are and what that means to our economy and the flight out of our state.
But at the end of the day, people want to live in Southern California
That's
for
right.
a variety of reasons, and people want to come here to visit, which is fortunate for what it is that you do.
As I tell my friends, well, you may be leaving, but you're going to come back and stay in our hotels.
There you go. So for the prognosis for 2022, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like things are looking up and up.
I'm pretty upbeat. I like the trends. I like the sort of the momentum that we have. This new variant. I think everyone's getting a little over anxious about it, but I think that'll subside. I don't want to underestimate it, but at the same time, I think we are sort of getting used to these curveballs coming at us, and so I'm pretty positive. I mean, I'm a buyer, right?
Got it. So there you go. Words from the mouth of one of the experts in the hotel industry. Bob, thanks for being on the show. I really appreciate your insight and having you on. Again, I'd like to thank our producer, Sophia, and Paul Robertson, and the entire team here at OC Talk Radio. It's always a pleasure to be on. We will be back here again next week talking more real estate. I am Barry Saywitz, president of the Saywitz Company, and we will see you next week here on Let's Talk Real Estate.
Well, there you have it. You've been listening to Let's Talk Real Estate, your weekly BS with Barry Saywitz about the current state of the real commercial real estate market right here in Southern California. On Orange County's only community radio station, OC Talk Radio, streaming live from our studio here at the University of California Irvine's Beale Applied Innovation Center.